Well, friends, I'm Dr. Tushar Pandey here. I welcome you all for this current academic year 2020-2021. I'm very happy to meet you once again on this virtual platform. Friends, this year I'm associated with your electronics paper 5501, and I shall be teaching unit number 4 of this paper 5501. Friends, before we start our session, I would like to give you a brief outline of this Unit 4. You have to study physics of semiconductor in Unit 4 of your paper Electronics 5501, where you have to study the bonding forces and energy bands in solids. You have to study charge carriers in semiconductors, carrier concentrations, drift of carriers in electric and magnetic fields. Well, friend, these four major topics require at least 13 to 14 lectures. So I require one lectures per a week, and I will complete this unit 4, right? I will justify this unit 4 by taking at least 13 to 14 classes. Well, friends, I will also take some review questions, numerical exercise, several important problems, because you people have to appear for various competitive examinations also. And the physics of semiconductor is a very important portion in physics, of course in electronics also. So to understand this physics of semiconductor, you have to study a textbook which which I have mentioned here, Solid State Electronic Devices by Ban G. Streetman. It is a PHI publication, stands for Prentice Whole of India Private Limited. And the articles which I have mentioned here, you please note down this article, which you can see that cursor is moving here. You please note down these articles, and you can also note down from our website where we have already downloaded the syllabus. You can get from our website the reference book, because if you want to understand in detail and some more problems in semiconductor physics, please refer Electronic Device and Circuit by Garud and Jain. It is at Tata McGraw Hill Publications. Please refer A Physics of Semiconductor Devices by SMZ. It's John Wiley Publications. And I would like to suggest another reference book for some numerical problems. Semiconductor Physics and Devices, Basic Principles, third edition, by Donald Newman, and it is Tata McGraw-Hill Publications. So, well, friends, this is something related to your syllabus and the textbook and references. We will start the session now, and we will start the session. Your first portion of your syllabus is bonding forces and energy bands in solids. Friends, you have studied the bonding forces at second year BSc. You have studied various type of bonding in solids. You have studied a covalent bond, ionic bond, hydrogen bond, and metallic bond that you people have studied. So bonding forces is known to you that in case of a solid, you have a periodic arrangement of an atoms or a molecules, and the electron is moving in a solid. So one can consider that the electron moving in a periodic potential. Friends, you have to study the formation of energy band in solids. So to understand the formation of energy band in solid, you have to calculate the possible values of energy possessed by electron in solid. So you can calculate these possible values of energy possessed by the electron in solid using the principle of quantum mechanics. So when you use quantum mechanics here, you people have to write down the Schrodinger equation, and once you solve the Schrodinger equation, you will get the solutions of Schrodinger equations, which will give you the eigenfunctions as well as the energy eigenvalues. And these energy eigenvalues are the energies, these are the possible values of energy possessed by the electron in solid. Well, friend, this year you people don't have to solve the Schrodinger equation. You have to study the Schrodinger equations. You have to see the physical interpretation of Schrodinger equations, and we will use the direct results of the solutions of Schrodinger equations, and we will note down the possible values of energy possessed by the electron. Even sometime, without using the rules of, without using that mathematics of quantum mechanics, one can understand the formation of energy band by pictorial diagrams. So you see, the results of the applications of quantum mechanics to electron motion in a crystal does not require or do not need to describe in terms of a mathematical machinery itself, but can be presented instead of can be presented in terms of a pictorial forms. I mean to say that without deriving a long equations, writing the equations, one can draw the pictures, and using this pictorial diagram, one can explain the formation of energy band in solid. So this year, this syllabus, I would say, deals with the energy spectrum of your electron moving in a crystalline solid and the formation of the energy band that we would like to study. So friends, if you want to study the formation of energy band, that is the band theory, I would say. Band theory in solid can be described by two different approaches. The first approach is known as the atomistic approach, and the other approach is collective approach. Using both the approach, one can understand the formation of the energy band in solids. So today I would like to give you the outline of the atomistic approach, and using the atomistic approach we will see how the energy bands are formed. Here you can see I have given a picture of the energy band diagram of one particular metal, and you can see the energy bands and overlapping of energy band is just to give you some idea that to understand this formation of the bands, we will understand via these two approaches. So let us understand using the atomistic approach. So when you take the atomistic approach, I have to consider my atom. That is, let us consider your isolated hydrogen atom. I mean to say that you consider first isolated atom. I consider the simplest atom is an hydrogen atom. So here I have mentioned, look at this diagram. Consider that in case of an hydrogen atom, you have a nucleus, and surrounding the nucleus, you have an electron which is revolving surrounding the nucleus. So I want to say that your electron is moving in the field of electric field produced by a nucleus, right? So this first diagram is representing the potential distribution around an isolated hydrogen nucleus in free space. So you may imagine that this is your nucleus, and at a distance r, it produces the potential. You have studied that electrical potential produced by a point charge is given by k times q over r, where q is the charge carried by a particle. So here you have your nucleus. The nucleus is consisting a charge is one. There is a one proton. It is one e. So I wrote here QE. That is a charge, one e, and divided by k is a constant, that is 1/4 pi epsilon 0 into r, where r is a distance from the nucleus. So you see that potential is decreasing as you move away from the nucleus. So this is the potential distribution surrounding the nucleus. So your electron is moving in this potential. So potential energy distribution for an electron. So electron has a potential energy. So the potential energy of the distribution for an electron in the electric field of an isolated hydrogen atom. And the potential energy of the electron is given by an expression minus V, where V is equal to Q E, where E is in subscript, that is representing the electronic charge, divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 R. So it is potential energy I can write down in terms of minus V, where it is calibrated in terms of electron volt. So this is the potential energy distribution of a single electron in an isolated hydrogen atom. Now you know, in case of a crystal, you don't have a single atom. You have a group of atoms. You have an arrays of atoms, and they are arranged in a particular fashion. You have a periodic arrangement of atoms in 3 dimensions. So your atoms are close to each other. So now let us understand the next step, that when you have the isolated hydrogen atom, there the electron possesses the potential energy. Electron is also possessing kinetic energy. So the possible values of energy is basically summation of kinetic energy plus potential energy. There is a total energy of the electron. So what are the possible values of total energy of electron in an hydrogen atom can be calculated using the Bohr's atom model. And you people have studied the possible values of energy possessed by electron in a hydrogen atom. You have studied that, suppose that if you want to write down the expression for energy of electron in an nth quantum state, so you have studied it is basically En equal to minus 13.6 divided by n square in terms of electron volt, which you have studied, where n is a quantum number. N is equal to 1, you will get energy E1. N is equal to 2, you get energy E2. N equal to 3, energy E3. So you have the possible values of energy possessed by the electron. These are the possible values. These values of energy you have calculated using Bohr atom model. Similarly, you can also calculate possible values of energy possessed by the electron in a hydrogen atom using Schrodinger equations. And you will get the same results. Of course, there are certain limitations of the Bohr model. which you people have studied in 12th standard. The fine structure of the hydrogen spectral lines are not explained with the help of the Bohr atom model. So here you see the first thing you should know that you can find the possible values of energy possessed by electron and hydrogen atom. You have calculated this, and now you know that you have a various energy. This is the discrete energy you get. Energies are quantized. You have a quantizations of energy. Okay. So now this energy, once you know this concept about this, we can now start learning the formation of energy band diagram. See, the first diagram are the atoms. This is atom A, atoms B, atom C, I would say. They are sufficiently separated so that potential energy distribution for individual atom is unchanged. So you may imagine that this is the nucleus of atom A here. This is the nucleus of atom B here. This is the nucleus of atom C here. Okay. And if the distance between the atoms is sufficiently large, sufficiently separated, so if you have a electron at this position, suppose at X, suppose this is, you can see there is a cross. Let us say that you have an electron at this at point X. So I would say that the energy of potential energy of the electron is only because of the position of nucleus of A, because since the distance is large, this nucleus at B is not affecting the electron at atom at electron at a position X, or the nucleus at C, the potential of C, I would say the potential of the nucleus is not affecting the electron position at X. That means the potential energy of the electron at the point X is only due to the position of a nucleus at atom A. But if atoms are brought close enough, then there is a change in energy. So atoms are close enough to change the distribution in region between the adjacent atom. So you can see here, this atom A, atom B, atom C are brought closer to each other. And so they are brought closer to each other such that they start interacting. That means the nucleus at A, the nucleus at B, and there is a nucleus at C. I mean to say that if you want to calculate potential energy of an electron, suppose at this point, I write down, suppose this, look at my cursor where I keep my cursor at this point. If you want to calculate the potential energy of the electron, then it will be the potential energy because of the presence of nucleus at A, presence of nucleus at B, presence of nucleus at C. So you have an effective potential because of the potential due to atom A, potential due to the atom B, potential because atom C, potential to the atom D. So the energy of the potential, energy of the electron, potential energy of the electron will be because of the potential due to the atom A, because of the potential due to the atom B, because of the potential due to the atom C. So once you understand that if the atoms are brought closer to each other, if you reduce the distance between the atoms, then they start interaction between the two atoms. And this we will see now. Look at this picture here. If you look at this picture, here I have mentioned the various quantum state. You look at that, you have 1s level. So 1s level has a two quantum state. It can accommodate 2 electrons per atom. So you can see 1s2. Similarly, I have mentioned 2s2. So 2s quantum state, 2s states can accommodate 2 electrons, right? Then you have a 2p states. So 2p has a quantum capacity of 2p state is 6. So there are what is the quantum state? There are 6 quantum states per an atom. So if there are n atoms, there will be 6n quantum states for 2p. So if I have a suppose 1s quantum states, so 1s quantum state gives you 1s state gives you 2 quantum states per an atom. If there are n atoms, you will have a 2n quantum states for 1s orbitals. So please try to understand here that you can see I have given this picture more simplified. Here I have mentioned the 3s level, and you can see the 3s level of atom A, 3s level of atom B, 3s level of atom C. It is represented by a single line. It's an oversimplified picture. Please remember, because I want to give you a introductory part that how first of all energy bands are formed. So this is an oversimplified picture where I have mentioned that 3s level is a common level by a single line. Fine. And now let us try to understand this concept. You see, friends, the quantum capacity of 3s level is 2, 3s2. Now, if you consider, let us say, if you consider a sodium crystal, right? The sodium atom is consisting 11 electrons. So if you see its electronic configuration is 1s2, right? Then you have 2s2. Then for the 2p state, it will be 2p6 because 2p can accommodate 6 electrons. So you have a 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, and the 3s quantum state will have 1 electron. The quantum capacity of 3s level is 2. We have 1 vacancy per an atom. We have a 1 vacancy per an atom, I would say. So look at this. I have considered the atom. Now you imagine there is a sodium atom at A, sodium atom at B, sodium atom at C, and sodium atom at D also. And our interest is to understand the interaction among the atom A, atom B, atom C. So please remember that the quantum states for 3s energy level is 2. Please remember. According to the Pauli exclusion principle, 3s quantum state can accommodate 2 electrons. Now you please understand, you look at that the 1s level, 2s level, and you see 2p level are well inside the well. This is the heel of a potential, right? And this is the well part. This is the well part of this is basically a potential energy distribution. And this is the well part, and this is the HELOC. You can see this is the heel part of a potential. I want to show you a very important thing here, that you can see the level 1s, you have a 2s, and this is 2p are well inside. But you can see that level 3s, the 3s level which I have mentioned by a single line, is above the potential hill. This is the hill and it's above the hill. So the electron sitting or electrons occupying at 3s levels are not tightly bound. While the electrons of atom A, I would say there is 1s electron, this 2s electron, 2p electrons experience a stronger force because of this nucleus at atom A. This 1s electron, 2s electron, 2p electron of atom B experience a stronger force because of the nucleus atom B. So I would say that these 1s electrons, 2s electron and 2p electrons, almost 2p electrons, are localized to their parent atoms. So these 1s, 2s, 2p is localized to atom A. This 1s electrons, 2s electrons and these 2p electrons are also localized to. So I would say that the energy levels which are inside the well are representing the core of a nucleus. This is the core part. These electrons, these are the 3s electrons which are above the hill. This is the hill, above the hill of the well, are not tightly bound. They are free to move in a crystal. They are moving in a wide space in a crystal. These electrons are known as valence electrons. Of course, you may ask me questions that these 2p electrons are almost at the top of the hill. So these electrons are neither free nor bounded, of course, but they are localized. They are not free. They are associated with their parent atom. But the 3s electrons of atom A, atom B, atom C, atom D, and so on are free in crystal. They are not tightly bound. They are not localized to their parent atom. They are free. They are moving in a crystal. And these electrons, when they are moving in a crystal, we can write down some equations and we can solve several parameters and we can find many quantities in quantum mechanics also. But here we will study the formation of energy bands. So I mean to say that these electrons are considered as a free electrons. They are moving in a crystal. And now you know that the quantum capacity of the 3s level is 2 per an atom. But now you can see that since we have atom A, atom B, atom C and atom D are present. So there are basically, let us say, atoms, so there are 4 atoms. But this 3s level, this oversimplified picture which I have mentioned, this 3s level can accommodate only 2 electrons. But we have electron of 3s level because of atom A, electrons of atom because of atom B, you have a 3s electron because of atom C, you have a 3s electron of atom D, you have atom E, and you have n number of atoms. If the atomic density is n, that means if there are n atoms per unit volume, and you have your 3s level, your 3s level can accommodate only 2 electrons. But you want to accommodate actually n electrons, if there are n electrons. So basically Pauli exclusion principle will not allow. So here what happens, your 3s energy level splits and you have the splitting of energy band and the number of energy levels in that splitting is equal to the number of electrons which you are having. So if there are n electrons, there will be n energy levels because of the splitting. The energy levels are so close to each other, you will see there is a band of energy. We will study this band of energy in detail. I'm just giving you a primary knowledge, primary information right now. Of course, the splitting of energy level can be explained with the help of quantum mechanics here, and without writing any mathematics here or any equations, we want to understand here first of all how the splitting takes place. So because no two electron should have a same set of quantum numbers, so to justify the Pauli principle, because we have a Pauli exclusion principle and should be followed. So the 3s level splits and the number of energy levels in splitting is equal to the number of atoms present. So now these things can be you can understand by taking a very simple example. Let me give you an example for this. So let us see the example. The example you can understand with the help of I have a mechanical vibrators. There are 6 mechanical vibrator. Vibrator number 1 here, you can see. This is a vibrator number 2 here. This is a vibrator number 3 here. This is a vibrator number 4 here. This is a vibrator number 5 here. This is a vibrator number 6 here. It's a mechanical vibrator. So you have a spring connected by a small ball here. And they are identicals. And if you have a 6 mechanical vibrators, and if they are not coupled with each other, if they are independent to each other, and if you start vibrating, then they will vibrate with their natural frequency. So you have 6 mechanical vibrators, and if they are not coupled, if they are not interacting with each other, if they are independent with each other, and if you start vibrating them, they will vibrate with their natural frequency. So you have one mode of oscillations, or you have a one mode of frequency. But now what I have developed here, that these 6 mechanical vibrators are coupled. They are coupled by a small spring, you see here. So you have an interaction of the vibrator number 1 with vibrator number 2. So you may consider your atom A, atom B, atom C, atom D, atom E, atom F. If the distance between the atom is sufficiently large, then they are independent, which we have discussed. So please concentrate here that these mechanical vibrators are coupled, and this is coupling can be stronger or coupling can be weaker also. Okay, so now if you have such coupling, and if you start oscillating this system of 6 mechanical vibrators coupled with each other, then you will have a 6 mode of vibrations. You can see I have mentioned mode number 1, you have a mode number 2, you have a mode number 3, this is mode number 4, this is a mode number 5. There are 6 modes. These are the 6 modes. Mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4, mode 5, mode 6. So you will have a 6 frequency. Your 3s level splits. So this is something this will give you understanding about how your 3s level splits. So this is in a mechanical arrangement. You have a resonant circuit. You have a parallel resonant circuit. You can see this resonant circuit is characterized by its resonance frequency, 1 upon 2 pi square root of L and C. So if you have suppose a resonant circuit, and if you operate the circuit, it will have a one resonant frequency, and you can have a natural resonant frequency. You can find out the natural resonant frequency. And if you have a six resonant identical circuits having a natural frequency equal to 1 upon 2 pi root LC, and if these such six electrical resonant circuits are coupled magnetically, then you will not have a one resonant frequency, but you will have a six resonant frequency. If you take its response, you will get six resonant frequencies. So as in the case of six, I said that sodium atoms, your 3s level splits. You see there is a coupling. So now let me explain here. What is the wave mechanical coupling? Your electron of the atom A, that is your 3s electron of atom A, has a wave-like characteristic. In quantum mechanics, when you consider a particle has a wave-like nature. So there is a wave associated with that. There is a wave nature. Consider the wave nature. There is a wave. So when these two atoms are interacting with each other, that means when atom A and atom B, that is a nucleus at atom A and a nucleus at atom B, start interacting with each other, the wavelength of the wave of the 3s electron will change. This is, I'm considering about the de Broglie wavelength. Dear friend, is a matter wave. So I mean to say that when the atoms are brought closer to each other, they start interacting with each other. Because of this interaction, there is a wave, I would say, the coupling here. Wave mechanical coupling means the wavelength of the wave. Here you have a 3s electron of the atom A, whose wavelength is lambda, which is characterized by h upon p, where h is a Planck constant divided by p is the momentum. So because of the wave mechanical coupling, the wavelength of the electron of a 3s electron of atom A, 3s electron of atom B, 3s atom of electron C, 3s atom of D will change. If lambda changes, P will change. Lambda is equal to h by P. So change in P will change in energy, because energy is given by P square by 2m, which you have studied. Please remember lambda equal to h by P. So if change in, so wave mechanical coupling causes change in lambda causes change in P causes change in E. That is why the energy of atom A is changing, the energy of the atom B will change it, that energy of electron of atom A, energy of electron of atom A, energy of the electron of atom B, energy of the electron atom C is changing. So you get energy E1, you get energy E2, you get energy E3, you get energy E4. If there are six atoms, there are six electrons, and you will get a E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6. So I mean to say that your 3s level splits, and you have got a six energy levels here. So if there are n energy levels, if there are n atoms per, say, unit volume, then your 3s level will split into n number of energy levels. So if you calculate the total number of energy levels in a band, you will get a n number of energy levels. This is very important thing. So please remember wave mechanical coupling here. And now once you understand this, now you can look at this diagram. So you can see here, I have mentioned this 3s level, and you can see the splitting of 3s level, and you see there are 6 atoms: atom 1, atom 2, atom 3, atom 4, atom 5, atom 6. If there are 6 atoms, then you can see that energy band between E1 and E2, there are 6 energy levels. So the total number of energy levels in a band is basically characterized by number of atoms present per unit volume. If there are more number of atoms, then there will be more energy levels. Suppose, let us take the example of a sodium crystal. The atomic density of a sodium crystal is 10 raised to 22 per unit volume. So there are 10 raised to 22 atoms. Each atom gives you one free electron. So there are 10 raised to 22 electrons. If there are 10 raised to 22 electron, I would say that there will be 10 raised to 22 energy levels in a split. So between E1 and E2, there will be 10 raised to 22 energy levels. They are so close to each other. But the difference in energy, that is, I would say the spread in energy, you know, your level splits. So you have got a spread in energy, the lower energy and the higher energy. That is the E. This is E1, and I would say the E2. This E2 minus E1, that is delta E, is depending upon the coupling. Stronger the coupling, larger the energy spread in a band. So E2 minus E1, that is a delta E. Please remember, this delta E is greater for stronger coupling. If coupling is strong, right, if change in wavelength is strong, if you have considered that mechanical vibrators, and I have considered the coupling, I have connected both the mechanical vibrator via spring. So if I take the coupling strong between the two mechanical vibrators, then the spread in energy will be large. That means the frequency difference, you see, in case of a mechanical vibrator, we get 6 modes of oscillations. So we have got a 6 frequency: F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. So F6 minus F1 will be larger. So please remember today that number of energy levels in a band depends upon the number of atoms present per unit volume. So if you have 1 cc cubic centimeter, 1 cc of a crystal, and suppose if you take a density, suppose a density of a sodium crystal, say for 1 cc is 10 raised to 22. Please consider 10 raised to 22 is an atomic density. That means per cubic centimeter, you have a 10 raised to 22 atoms. So if you have a crystal of 1 cc, you will get 10 raised to 22 energy levels between E1 and E2, Now instead of having 1 cc crystal, if the crystal, suppose you take a crystal of 100 cc, right? 100 times more, then the number of energy level in a band is equal to 100 into 10 raised to 22. But please remember the spread in energy, that is E2 minus E1 delta E, is greater when the wave mechanical coupling is stronger. So here I have mentioned the energy band. Look at the energy, because these bands are energy levels are so close to each other, it forms a band. Here you will see that I have also mentioned the splitting of 2p energy levels, because friends, the 2p energy level, as I said, that it is almost at the top of the energy potential energy well. These electrons are not tightly bound. Of course they are in they are experiencing a force because of the parent nucleus, but they are not tightly bound. If they are not tightly bound, then they also interact. So I mean to say that the 2p electron of atom number 1, 2p electron of atom number 2, 2p electrons of atom number 3, 2p electrons of atom are they start interacting with each other. And again there is a wave mechanical coupling for them. And so if there is a wave mechanical coupling, again there is a change in wavelength of the wave. And if there is a change in the wavelength of the wave, there is a change in energy. So friends, today I gave you a primary introduction that how energy bands are found or formed in a crystal by giving a atomistic view. Next lecture we will study in detail about the formation of the energy band, and I will give you a specific example for formation of energy band in semiconductor, conductor and insulators. And we will study the collective approach also. I will stop here. Next lecture we will see in detail, and we will study the formation of energy bands in conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Thank you very much.